Hey guys, this is Joe from Analog Archive, back with another video. Today's video is going to be my finds for the month of November. Picked up where I had left off in October with a lot more John Coltrane albums, especially some posthumous releases and then some things that he had done right at the end of his life. Really excited to have found many of these albums, ones that I've been looking for, and again, was lucky enough to find them. So we'll get started. First is Think, Lonnie Smith. One of his early ones. This might actually be his first album on Blue Note. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I know it's definitely one of his early ones on Blue Note. I found one of his records from the late 70s last month in Syracuse, and was happy to have found this one in the bins in Rochester when I went a few weeks ago. This one's got Lee Morgan on trumpet. Definitely was one of the people that convinced me to buy it. You also have Melvin Sparks on the guitar, who I'd love to find some of his stuff on Prestige from the late 60s, but that stuff is so hard to find. So was really happy to have found it. I enjoy Lonnie Smith's approach to jazz and to the organ, so was happy to have found that one. So that was Think, Lonnie Smith. The next one, I found this one when I was home for Thanksgiving. The Bop Shop always puts out Christmas records along with like 45s and just different kind of Christmas related merchandise, and I found this one in the bins. Was looking for a Christmas record to listen to with my wife, and nothing's better than jazz Christmas, so was really happy to have found this one. I've seen this cover before. This wasn't really on my mind to find it, but was glad to see this in the bins. So he covers a lot of the classics: Little Drummer Boy, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, Away in a Manger, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, Christmas Song, Silent Night, and some others. I liked this one because it had less of a pop appeal to it with the tracks. You've also got like My Favorite Things is on here as well, so a cool one, not too expensive. Was again real glad to found that one, and a nice Christmas record to have. One thing I've also started doing this month, these last few weeks, is exploring some more free jazz stuff. I found this one recently, Anthony Braxton Saxophone Improvisation Series F. This is an original on the America Records label out of France. There's also a US press. I actually found the US press when I was digging in the basement at the Bop Shop recently, and it's on Inner City, but it's only the first LP. So this is a 2 LP, and the US release only features the tracks from the first LP, so I'm not exactly sure what the deal was with that, but this one's definitely going to be a tougher listen. This is solo Anthony Braxton, definitely not easy listening in any regard, so I really enjoyed what I heard on this, but definitely this is going to be a tougher listen, so excited to check that one out. Getting into some of the Coltrane I found this month. So this is John Coltrane featuring Pharoah Sanders live in Seattle. Great one, definitely pushing the boundaries a bit on this. This one was recorded, I think, shortly before the Love Supreme live in Seattle that just came out last year. So you've got, again, Pharoah Sanders, John Coltrane, and definitely a tougher listen. Some parts easier than others, but definitely a more challenging one. So I was excited to find this one. A little bit tougher of one to find as well, so found that one at the Bop Shop, and I think most of this stuff is actually from the Bop Shop, so don't need to really say that at this point because most of the stuff that I get is from the Bop Shop. So this is Cosmic Music. This is when it was released on Impulse. The original cover was just like gray, and then it had like a black circle and said Cosmic Music and kind of an interesting font. But this is the Impulse release, when Impulse approached Alice Coltrane and wanted her to let them release it on the Impulse label. So this has got a split between 2 tracks that have Coltrane on it, along with Alice Coltrane on piano, and then it's got Jimmy Garrison on bass, and then Rashid Ali on the drums. But then it's also got 2 tracks with, and actually I think Pharoah Sanders is on all 4 tracks. The other 2 tracks were recorded after Coltrane had passed away, and I think they were from like 68, or at least late 67, early 68. They were released with the other 2 tracks, and it has one of the tracks has mostly just Alice Coltrane, and then you've got a little bit of Pharoah Sanders' flute that you can hear in the back, and then the other track is again everybody but Coltrane. So cool one, definitely again another one that's challenging, but a great one. Love this cover to it. Definitely worth picking up if you like some of the more avant-garde free jazz John Coltrane. The next one I was really excited about. I've been looking for this one for a while. Africa Brass, John Coltrane John Coltrane Quartet. This was part of the same collection that had A Love Supreme, John Coltrane Plays. I think those are the only ones that I picked up from that collection that were Coltrane. It was a collection that the Bob Shop got in over the summer. This was one that I'd asked about, but they had said that it sold, and it actually was on hold for somebody, but they did not pick it up, and it had been like almost 4 months since they had asked for it to be hold, so they didn't want this to just be sitting there when they could make money, so they let me buy this. Very happy to find this one. This was one of the last Impulse John Coltrane's that I need. Impressions, I think, is the last one that I want, that I need from it. But a great one. John Coltrane backed with an orchestra, and a really great one. So a great pairing. I picked up last month, I think it was, Africa Brass Volume 2. So a great one to have the original that goes with it. Last bunch, some bigger ones, or at least ones that was very excited to have found. First one, classic Karma, Pharoah Sanders. This is an early 70s pressing. Sounds great. Very happy to have found this one. The opening to The Creator Has a Master Plan is unbelievable. Just Pharoah Sanders on the tenor sax, just unbelievable. So very happy to have found this one, a classic. This one I think just came out recently, part of the Acoustic Sounds series, so definitely worth picking that up if you do come across it, or you just want to go to the website and find it. This one's one that I've seen here and there and finally got around to picking it up, and that's Dave Liebman, Lookout Farm. It's an ECM. Not an expensive one. This was $15. Just great. Dave Liebman. Picked up a lot of his work in the 70s and into the 80s as well. Just love his approach to the saxophone. Plays both soprano and tenor, and then he also has some playing on the flute as well, but mostly just saxophone. Great one as well. It's got John Abercrombie. Oh, sorry. Yes, you got John Abercrombie, acoustic electric guitar, Don Alias on congas and the bongos. Richard Byark is on the electric and acoustic piano. So great lineup to that, along with some other players, but a great one there, Lookout Farm. Last two, other Coltrane ones, both of them are posthumous releases. Very excited about this one, Interstellar Space. This is a classic posthumous one, just a duet between John Coltrane and Rashid Ali. Great one if you ever do see it. Tougher one to find, not one that's extremely expensive if you find it, especially compared to some of his other work, but a great one. Definitely happy to have found this one. And again, very unique sound to the album, with it just being Coltrane on the sax and then Rashid Ali on the drums. So different sound than what you hear on some of his other records. especially around this time. It's not as out there as some of his other releases, even though that one was released only a few months before he died. All right, this was recorded in like February 1967, so he died in July, so it was only about 5 months before he passed away. This one wasn't released until 1995. Alice Coltrane found the tapes for it and put it together. You've got a more, again, it's definitely a late era John Coltrane one, but he's also taken a step back from what you kind of heard recently. Some things like Kule Samama and Om and Ascension and Meditations and Live in Seattle, records like that that were more really pushing it and getting pretty free. This one definitely has its moments where it does sound more free, but it's also more restrained. This does not have Pharoah Sanders on it. You've just got Alice Coltrane, Jimmy Garrison, Rashid Ali, and then Coltrane himself. I think it's definitely significant that it did not have Pharoah Sanders. Reading the gatefold, it actually said that whether it was intentional or not, because Pharoah Sanders wasn't on it, it kind of showed that Coltrane was maybe going in a slightly different direction, at least in his mind, than where Pharoah Sanders was. I mean, you look at Pharoah Sanders' catalog going into the 70s, and it was very consistent, very free, very percussion-based, and that's not really the direction that Coltrane went with Interstellar Space, Stellar Region, some of those later recordings that he had. Not that the ones that have Pharoah Sanders on it are not as enjoyable, but it's definitely a much more difficult listen than what you hear. So this is a great one. This is a tough one to find. This is actually the only pressing of it. So again, it came out in 1995. So this is one that definitely would be great to see a repress to allow more people to find it, but a great one. Very excited to have found that. And that was the big one for the month. And that was actually, I think, the only one in there that was not from the Bob Shop. That was from Record Archive in Rochester. So again, a very heavy John Coltrane month. So just really been entranced with a lot of his later stuff. Really love the sound, and that's definitely helping me to become more comfortable with some of the more free jazz type stuff like Anthony Braxton, things like that. So again, please let me know in the comments what you think, and if you have not already, please think about liking and subscribing, and I will see you in the next vinyl video. Bye.